We are back in again. Thank you so very much for being with us. Very excited to introduce another great guest. Please welcome Jordan Whelan to the show. He is the founder and CEO of Gray Smoke Media. He has had a very interesting background, started off doing radio, TV work, and managed over $3 billion in different claims. And I'm using claims specifically because this is, I think, the beginning of his transition into the legal industry from a marketing standpoint. He has managed over 50 million in ad spend and got that 10,000 hours in one field that it requires for you to become proficient. I love that data. And that's where Gray Smoke Media came from, helping legal firms grow. And it's the only purely legal firm marketing agency around, as far as he and I both know. He's now in the United States helping American firms grow, and he has been mentioned in hundreds of different media sources all over the media sphere. Welcome, Jordan. How you doing?
Jim, thank you for having me on the program. I'm honored.
So legal firms there's the old adage that doctors are not good at anything like business and stuff. My dad was a great doctor, bad business person. It's a stereotype. Is it true with lawyers as well that they just don't have a clue when it comes to business?
They kind of don't have a clue what they don't know. That's what I found is sometimes when people think that they're highly educated in one space or when they have a great deal of success in one space, they tend to not be deferential. I really do credit one of my first clients, Diamond & Diamond, who's now the largest personal injury firm in Canada, with being quite deferential to individual experts. The actual legal marketing space itself, it's uniquely positioned for innovation at this point because it's usually operated within a rather archaic framework.
Well, it's bus ads and late night TV ads.
Yes, with interesting creative and interesting taglines and jingles, which do work really well, by the way. A lot of people have a lot of choice words to say about jingles. But yeah, the personal injury space itself is really built on advertising. It's a highly competitive space. It's also a highly lucrative space. So that's obviously why there's a lot of players. But, there's kind of a saying where, everyone makes fun of personal injury lawyers and says bad things about them until they're injured and they need the best lawyer. And they certainly don't want the one in the Prius. They want the one in the Ferrari at this point.
That is very, very true. So what's wrong with the legal space now?
Well, they usually rely on established methods, right? They were effective in the past, but they no longer fully capture the evolving needs of clients at this point. And there's a huge rise of digital tools and changing client expectations. So there's an opportunity to bring fresh approaches to how legal services are marketed, whether that's bringing in AI. But one of the big things that lawyers have to overcome is that personal barrier, right? When I come to your website, what do your fonts evoke? What do your pictures evoke? Am I a woman and it's 12 guys standing in a row and that's all I see in your ads? And how do I connect with you? So I think that's something that lawyers really have to overcome, this barrier where people don't really want to approach them. They can be seen as pompous. They can be seen as many things, right? And so when it comes to lawyers, I think that the personal element, like any business, is incredibly important. And in this space, I've found there's a lot of opportunity to break away from these old norms and sort of create new efficiencies and make legal services more accessible.
All right. So are we talking about moving away from television ad and toward SEO-based online search for lawyers?
I don't think we're moving, everything's different, right? If you're in the infancy stage of a law firm, you can run a law firm on SEO and AdWords. I don't think SEO itself is dying in the way that it said it's dying. I mean, one of the things why SEO is so important in, say, the personal injury space is, say, if you go into run AdWords in Miami and you type in personal injury lawyer Miami or car accident lawyer Miami, you're paying about $150 a click. So you can imagine that SEO firms can charge quite a large amount of money to law firms because, if I can get your cost per lead down substantially to, say, $40 a click in the SEO space. But the SEO space itself is going to be changing quite dramatically in 2025 and beyond, something that's more human, more intuitive, and it's going to be more focused on voice search. But I don't think SEO, the way we traditionally call it SEO, it's really, we look at it as a conduit from bringing you from point A to point B, right? So it's not just just Google. It's not just alternative search engines. It's just, how do I find out about you? And that might be the search bar on YouTube, which is SEO. That might be the search bar on TikTok, which is still SEO. But it's changing in the sense that before you could just put up a blog with a bunch of content and people would just end up on your sites. But now with the new AI search features that are coming out, people are getting their answers right at the top before they even click through to your website. So there's a lot of traffic in the SEO space that is not going to return. And a lot of people have to be okay with that. But that being said, consumers aren't really going to go anywhere. So you just have to find a new way to connect with them.
What you use the term AI search. How will that be any different from a Google search? I mean, it seems like Google is AI for search. I don't understand the difference.
So normally when you would search for, say you were served divorce papers, that people would search, I just served divorce papers. What do I do? For example. And if you were a divorce lawyer, you would write a blog about that. And what would end up happening is when people search that, they would come to your website, they would read this long-winded blog, and they'd get the data points that they needed to figure out, okay, where do I go? How do I hire a lawyer? What do I look for? Now, what we have on ChatGPT, or even at the top of Google, people will see now, when you search questions like that could be easily answered in a couple bullet points. You're looking at the top of Google, and Google says, okay, the AI just pulled the main points. You got to go here. You got to do this. And then people don't even scroll down on the page. So they don't end up coming to your website to read that blog. So you've now lost that traffic that you could potentially convert into a lead. So that's what's changing in the whole space, is that if the AI can just give me what I need on a easy basis, just give it right directly to me, why would I come to your website? And so then you're seeing now all businesses, not just lawyers, you're seeing them lose substantial amount of traffic. I mean, I got a call from one of my clients that the traffic's down 25%. I said, yeah, for everybody across the board. That's just the new normal. But it doesn't mean that those people aren't going to go anywhere. I mean, the population's not shrinking. So you then have to find new ways to connect with them. Things like Google Local, right? If you're searching in the Google Maps for a massage near you, that's not going to go away, because I still need to connect you from point A to point B. But what's going to go away is using cheap content to try to generate traffic to the websites, or even just strong content. But it's just going to change in general, because if I can open ChatGPT and get the answer, I won't be on your website anytime soon.
So what's the solution then, Jordan? You've painted quite a catastrophic situation. I'm about to go and fire my SEO people. What are we going to replace it with?
It's okay. You can hire me. It's fine. We'll do a better job anyways. Well, no, we were a generalized marketing agency for about 12 years. So we do take on non-legal clients, but our predominant branding is legal. Well, we work with pharmaceutical companies and Brookfield Asset Management, big companies like that. But I think what's going to be happening in that space is you're going to, what I say to people, and this is really important for people to understand, is what's going to conquer AI and what's going to help you stand out is what makes you human. Right? It's still a computer at the end of the day. So if you're writing blogs that really connect with people, talk about client stories, how you built your business, maybe your family, that's not something that an AI can replicate. So we want to lean into that. And then we want to also do things like, when we're optimizing our SEO, we want to optimize it for voice search, because a lot of the searches will now be voice. We want to make sure that...
How is that any different from normal search? I mean, voice search, they translate it into a word and then search for dictionary store, right? I don't understand how voice makes any difference. That's translated into text, isn't it? Because
when you pose a voice search, you do it more as a long formed question, right? Before, when you're doing keywords, you're just searching like, let's say personal jeweler in Miami. I'll use that example. Now, if you're searching like, hey, where can I find this? How do I know how to do this? You start to basically form your SEO around how people would actually search on these apps. And then you do also things like, you don't use certain characters, you don't use certain spacing, because what you want to do is have the AI, whether it's Claude, ChatGPT, or whatnot, connect like a human, right? So it's saying, oh, that sounds like something that someone would search. I think I'm going to give you this law firm as an example of something. So the people that are going to do that are going to be way ahead moving forward. And then also things like tagging your images, tagging your videos, doing things that so basically it can find you. And the biggest thing I would say for anyone, I was able to generate easily about $1 million more in revenue for my client in about 3 months by optimizing the Google local page. That is not going away anytime soon. That's what shows up in your Google business. When we look for our local grocery store, stuff like that, you'd be amazed, Jim, at the amount of people that do not optimize that page, and it is inexpensive to do, and the traffic's already there, and they just don't think to update it, put new content, put new photos up. It's amazing to me.
Can I do Google local, a radio show podcast? Would we have a,
Sure.
I mean, local doesn't mean anything to me, or does it?
Well, local is the bricks and mortar location of the actual business, right?
Right.
But
And
if
I
you're
have
running
an office here, right? Yeah.
Perfect. So if you wanted a specific person to find, in your specific situation, it might be unique, but if you wanted someone to find you within your geographic region, you would optimize that Google local page and try to increase the radius of it as much as possible, so that if anybody's searching within a geographic area, they find you for specific keywords or services that you're providing.
Okay. Could I do that for every location in the country, in every city? Say I have,
as long as you have a
30
real
dentist
location.
offices around the country.
Yeah, as long as you have a real location. Google's
Right.
got a lot smarter about that now, because people were realizing, oh, everything's moving to local. Let me just, open a bunch of fake offices or, these work share spaces over and over. And now Google's kind of saying, well, let me see proof that your sign's actually on the door. let me see photos of your office that it's actually real, because they knew that traffic is extremely valuable, but people were going in and, doing all kinds of games that really don't work anymore.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch the games change over the last 20 years or so.
Certainly has.
Yeah. So I love your business. I love the niche. I love the idea that you have a defendable space, and absolutely brilliant, Jordan. Let's switch gears though. Talk about the entrepreneurship behind building this business. How'd you get the idea? How'd you get your first employee? Were you able to bootstrap since you were in the service industry? Walk us through being an entrepreneur, Jordan.
Sure. So, Great Smoke Media kind of came about in a very circuitous manner. I was a radio and television producer that then transitioned into PR, and I opened the agency initially. My first client was the mayor of Toronto, and the second client was this law firm, Diamond & Diamond, that at the time were about 30 people, and now we're 600. And I was providing PR services to people. But what I quickly learned was, if I was able to get you on the news at 6:00 p.m. or on a newspaper online, I quickly learned that it wasn't just about the PR. Yes, people were reading the articles, etc. But what I learned was there were so many other pieces that were interwoven. For example, if I can get you in the newspaper, that's one thing. But if I can also leverage that for SEO, and I can get you a backlink from one of these sites, then you can show up in searches more often. I could also use that for reputation management. When I search your company, what comes up on page one? And I started to learn how all these different pieces of marketing were fitting together, and that a lot of these companies, what they were doing was they were hiring 5 or 6 agencies. They were getting a junior account manager who was 24 years old. There was no symbiosis between the agencies. And so as I worked with Diamond & Diamond and grew that law firm over the past decade, I was saying, okay, well, I've become an expert in SEO. Now I've become an expert in reputation management. Now I've become an expert in this. And then I moved into what's called media buying. So I started managing their ad spend. And so the way that I started my agency was, let's become sort of a Swiss Army knife. Let's be an all-in-one agency where people can come to us. We can offer a white glove service to people where they can text us at 10 p.m. at night for a premium, Jim, by the way. Of course, that's what comes with it. And then I started hiring people that, it was interesting, because the way I hire people is really, I sit down with them, and I'm sure you've had this experience as well. There's just a fire in people's eyes when you meet them. Perhaps that's the impetus for that is childhood trauma. Perhaps it's XYZ, not really of concern to me, but I look at people and I see winners. I can tell if they are going to stay up till 2 a.m, if they believe in what they're doing, if they're just doing it for a salary. So I don't necessarily hire people based on their resume. I hire them based on their constitution, based on what I see in their eyes, what I see in their heart. And that's how I've built the agency. Is I've built people where, can I teach you this unique marketing mix that I've come up with that's extremely unorthodox and unlike anything else out there, but it's been used to make millions and millions of dollars for my clients.
Very cool. How do you know if someone's got that fire? Is it just looking at their eyes? Maybe they're just really tweaked out on espresso or something, you know?
You know what? That might work to my advantage at a certain point, right? Because it's really all about output at this point. But
I guess that's what the micro dosing trend is about too, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we're all on some sort of stimulant, nicotine, etc. I mean, I try to stay away from them, but I will say, you get too many stimulants, you start to become erratic, and you could pick up on that energy quickly. I think my main skill has been when I was younger, I took a test at school, and they said I had the highest. I'm not trying to brag here, but it's my one skill, let's say, is social intelligence. I understand people, their motivations, and I can see the grit in people, and I can see that fire, and I can see them wanting a better life for themselves. And I also think the biggest thing that I've learned in business, and I'm sure you have as well, is it's the sense of urgency. Do you sit around waiting for someone else to drag you in a certain direction? Do you have something inside of you that looks like you want to keep innovating and learning? And also, is this your actual passion? Are you just coming to me because you want a good salary? Or is this something that you want to continue to learn and grow and evolve with? And that's the kind of people that I look for. I mean, in short, I really just to look for hardworking, high IQ people.
Don't we all? If I'm a small 5-person business and my marketing budget is $2,500 for the year, what do I do?
You don't contact me.
Well, we knew that.
Yeah, there's a premium to what I do. I mean, it's positioned as an elite marketing firm. What I would do, honestly, I think what we were saying earlier, the first thing I would do is put everything you have into your website. I'm amazed at the amount of people. I don't really work with infancy stage people, but I'm amazed by the amount of people that reach out to me and want to work together. And I go to your website and it's crawling so slow that I can't even load it. And then, of course, you're going to get penalized on the SEO front. I think the first thing you do is you put all your effort into your website. If anything, that's the first place people arrive. And then the second thing you do is you find a way to get them there. The first things you can do are, of course, things like Google Local, which is free. You can do some basic SEO for free, but then you can also tap into all these social media sites that are out there that have massive amounts of traffic. People don't even think of something like Quora. You go on Quora and you can answer questions all day long as an expert. That shows up in Google search. Go on Reddit. That shows up in Google search. Go on social media. That's free. I mean, there's so many ways to pull in these millions of people on a daily basis that you don't have to go out there and do a huge radio buy that I'm going to tell you, if you don't have $80,000, don't even do it. So you can start slow and also get reviews from people. If people like you, they want to write reviews about you. Don't get your friends and family. That's going to burn out very quickly. Get on there and actually build a business that people like. Shake their hands, ask them what you're doing wrong, learn from people, right? And that's the infancy stage. And then we transition into things that are tried and true, like AdWords, SEO. And then the third stage would be things like media buying, which I've managed quite a bit of that. Radio, television, out of home, different elements there. But that kind of comes at, about the 2-year mark if you're still alive at that point.
Great advice. Except for the Quora thing. I got on Quora. I don't know what I was trying to do working on SEO, but I got sucked into whether Meghan Markle's babies were really hers or if she used a surrogate or not. The Prince Harry's wife.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that's where I ended up, Jordan.
I thought you were a busy guy, Jim.
I am a busy guy, damn it, but I had to find out if the babies were real or not, and so I got sucked into that.
Well, I think here's a golden rule for the internet. If you find yourself on the internet late at night on Reddit or any of these places, and you kind of feel like, I don't really connect with these people. I don't really understand them.
Asshole or not?
Oh no, I'm sure the people in your life can tell you that if you ask them for an honest answer.
Oh, that's my favorite thread in Reddit is, or am I or not? So anyway,
can I just say something quickly about Reddit that I find really interesting for entrepreneurs? My advice is stay off Reddit because there's a lot of people on there that aren't doing well. they're bitter, they're giving bad advice. And then just from a metaphysical perspective, if you surround yourself with negative energy, with people that want to tell you all the ways that it didn't work for them or all the problems they have, and then you're commiserating online, I feel like it's a real cesspool, that place. And I feel like if you're a young entrepreneur, get off there, go shake hands with someone who's actually made it. Go have a conversation with them, have a coffee with them, learn from them, surround yourself with people that are positive. I find these little microcosms and areas of the internet are extremely destructive to your psyche. And I really tell people, whether you're a musician, I mean, I'm a musician on the side as well, but whatever industry you're in, stay away from this energy. Energy transference is quite real. We have a 12-foot electromagnetic frequency around us. Get away from that kind of energy. I don't think it's helpful in any way.
Jordan, we hadn't really talked about that. You do coaching for people based on your business expertise and also the metaphysical parts of business. And give us a minute on that, Jordan. Why do I care about my energy if I'm a business person? People like me. I'm smiling. I'm happy.
Sure. I mean, in your opinion, let's say, but they might see it another way. I mean, the reality is that we are, well, let me bifurcate it as follows. I'll say it like this. There's two parts to this. The first part is your subconscious mind, right? Your programming as you get older. How do you see yourself in business? Are you a winner? Do you think you can actually make it? Do you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I like the person that I'm seeing. I like the way my voice sounds. That's a whole journey in itself. You know, I'll have people contact me and I'll fear their fear-based energy. I'll feel that energy coming off of them. And I'll say, you know, I had a client, I was making him 150 grand a month. He was paying me maybe 10. And I got to the point where I had to part ways with him because I just said, you know, that you don't have it in you to get to the final echelon. And I'm not going to be able to fill that void. But the second part of this is really about metaphysics, and it might sound a little woo to people, but when your energy is aligned properly, you're not operating at a lack, you're leading from clarity, confidence, and everything is energy, right? Even money's energy. And a lot of people, you know, if you read the work of Napoleon Hill, Neville Goddard, you can read these books, a lot of the elites understand this, is that you will constantly in your reality be reflected back to you what the energy that you're giving out in your romantic relationships, your personal relationships, your business relationships. So if you get on a call and it's a sales call and the person can feel that you're not really set in your ways and you're kind of faking it and stuff like that, that gets you nowhere. So that's what a lot of this coaching and stuff is really getting into a person's psychology of saying, what are you putting out into the world? Then you can break it down an individual level of, you know, everything's energy particles. You can collapse probabilities. I won't bore your audience with this kind of stuff, but that's what I've been offering to my clients is understanding there's a lot more going on besides just working hard. It's not really always about working hard. It's about aligning with specific energies in your timeline, in your 3D reality. And that's the coaching that I provide to my clients, as well as some of the AI coaching that we've recently started doing.
Excellent. It makes a lot of sense. And I don't know. I do believe you get what you sow, you know? And so, I don't know if it's energy or karma or what, but I certainly know that it bounces back, whatever it
Absolutely.
is. So Jordan, I've loved speaking with you. I love your niche. I love how you have focused on it and the way you have done it and built your business. A plus, my friend, all around.
Thank you so much.
So
I really appreciate having me
on. You know, our goal here is to provide models for other people to go, oh, I could do what that guy did. And you fulfilled that today, my friend. How do we find out more? Follow you online, hire you, get in touch?
So it's greysmokemedia.com, GREY, smokemedia.com. You can book a 30-minute call consultation, or we have a complimentary introductory call. I don't work with anyone in the infancy stages, so I just want to be clear about that. I don't want to waste anyone's time. We do work with large market law firms predominantly, but anybody that has a specific marketing problem that their other agencies haven't figured out for them, they want to figure out an unorthodox way to get traffic, they want to tap into our creativity, they can reach out to us and we'll come up with a custom solution for them.
What's your favorite legal movie? Legal thriller?
Oh God, you put me on the spot, Jim. What is the one with Sandra Bullock? God, I'm really dating myself here. Sandra Bullock. I don't remember the name. Oh, now I'm gonna have to Google it for it. It's the Sandra Bullock movie where she's it's a legal drama, but I think it's maybe 15 years old.
I don't remember. God, the legal thriller.
But I used to. I will say one of the best shows of all time, and I know some people haven't maybe checked it out. It's called Boston Legal with William Shatner is in it. Candice Bergen's in it. Brilliant writing about their law firm that they run in Boston. And it's kind of funny how working with lawyers at this point, a lot of it's supposed to be fiction, but I was like, man, someone's really been hanging out with lawyers for a really long time.
A Time to Kill, John Grisham's book, A Time to Kill.
That's
Samuel L. Jackson, Matthew McConaughey, Kevin Spacey, and Sandra Bullock.
Classic.
Yeah. I'm going to go with John Cusack and Gene Hackman in the thriller about the trial, the murder of it's a gun case, and John Cusack figures a way to fix the jury and swings the verdict. Bad guys. I don't remember the name of that one.
Well, I'll check that out tonight, and you check out Boston Legal, and I'll check out that one tonight. That'll be our deal.
All right. Thanks for being with us. We'd love to have you back. Great stuff.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
We're out of time. Back tomorrow. Be safe. Bye now.